Hey guys, what's up? It's Charlie here, and today we're going to be looking at the 10 most shocking courtroom moments caught on camera. Courtrooms are always one of two things, boring or very tense and exciting. These are some of the most crazy and wild moments that happen in court you won't believe. And not only are these things totally mind-blowing, they were all caught on camera for you to see. This video is in collaboration with our good friends over at The Richest. Stay tuned to the end to see their video. Coming in at number 10, we have Chicken. This is a more light-hearted moment you won't believe took place in court. Judge Michael Cicconetti has been nicknamed America's most eccentric lawman. He's a judge in Ohio who's known for being a little different from other judges. But in 2015, he made everyone in court laugh with confusion as he sentenced a man to walk around dressed up like a chicken. The man had stolen food from a store, so as a punishment, the judge gave him two options. He could either spend 60 days in jail or walk around in a chicken suit. The man chose the chicken option, and to be honest, I don't blame him. I guess he was just too chicken to go to jail. He told a local reporter he was very embarrassed and had to also hold a sign saying something about ranch dressing. I didn't even know judges could do things like this, but I guess that's what makes Judge Cicconetti the most eccentric judge on earth. Next up is Kid Judge. We've just seen a judge dish out an odd sentence. But what's more strange than that? Well, how about a kid giving out a sentence to his own father? One man was in court for parking his car in the wrong spot. Usually this would just mean a fine, but he was in front of Judge Frank Caprio. And if Michael Cicconetti is the most eccentric judge, Frank Caprio is the nicest. It was a Saturday, so the man who was in court brought along his 5-year-old son, Jacob. So Judge Caprio called Jacob up to the stand to have a chat with him. He says to Jacob he has 3 options for his dad and asks Jacob to choose one. The options were paying a $90 fine, a $30 fine, or no fine. Surprisingly though, Jacob picked the middle ground of $30, which might make him a good judge in the future. The judge agreed on the $30 as long as Jacob's dad took him for ice cream afterwards. Next up is Reunion. If you thought the last courtroom moment was the ultimate feel-good story, then you might want to rethink that after hearing this one. Back in 2016, 49-year-old Arthur Booth had to go to court as he was caught stealing after losing his money gambling. He was called up in front of Judge Mindy Glazer, who sentenced Arthur to 10 months in jail. But then before Arthur walked to his prison cell, Judge Mindy asked him, did you go to Nautilus Middle School? Arthur then shouted, oh my goodness, and began crying as they used to be best friends back in school. They were both in a program for intellectually gifted kids. Mindy became a lawyer like she wanted, but Arthur didn't get to become a neuroscientist like he wanted thanks to his gambling problem. But after those 10 months, Mindy was ready to greet Arthur as he came out of jail. This inspired Arthur to get his life back on track, and now with the help of Mindy, he's living happily and legally. Next up is Gotta Go. I'm sure when we were at school there was always that one kid who would do wild things and shock everybody. Well, this is kind of like the courtroom equivalent of that. Corey Webb was in court for shooting a gun in the air in public. He then said he wanted to randomly fire his attorney, but the judge said he couldn't. He then began mumbling while a witness was talking, so the judge told everyone to break for a while. But during this time, Corey began to try and pee in a trash can that was in the courtroom. He's only 17 but may face life in prison for what he did. This caused his family to be outraged, but do you think this is too harsh or okay? Next up is singing. When you're in court, there aren't many ways to get out of being sentenced. The only ways that might work would be to run away or something. But one man named Brian Earl Taylor had other ideas. He was sentenced to 11 months in jail back in 2016 for carrying a concealed firearm. But at his sentencing, he thought it would be a good idea to sing a song called Sorry he wrote to the judge and his mom. He says he was inspired by Adele to sing the song. Unfortunately for him, it wasn't received well by the judge, who ignored it, but it was received well by millions of people online. However, I have a feeling they were watching it in a mocking way rather than in a supportive way. Next up is Faker. We've already gone over how tricky it is to get out of a court sentencing, but one way I guess might work is if you had a heart attack. It would be a pretty weird ability to be able to force yourself to have a heart attack, so one man who was in court decided to fake one instead. The man slouches over and pretends to fall on the floor. Obviously nobody buys this and the judge moves on as normal. But the guy is too deep into his lie and continues to pretend to have a heart attack. And this just ends up creating one super awkward moment. The worst part about it is, if you look closely, you can actually see him peeking to check if they bought it. Yeah, he really should have spent less time committing crimes and more time in acting school. Next up is the finger. This is one courtroom incident that shocked the world. One kid was in court for taking the lives of kids in a school. As he entered the court, he took off his shirt to show a t-shirt with words about his crime written on it. He then flipped off the jury, which caused everyone to gasp. Not only did he do a terrible crime, he showed no remorse and would barely cooperate with the judge or his own attorney. He's since gone down as one of the worst people to ever appear in court, not only because of what he did, but how disrespectful he was too. And the worst part about it is, some people in the jury were parents of the victims, which makes this so much worse. Thankfully though, this guy got his karma as he was sentenced to life behind bars. Next up is bruh. We've seen one man fall down while faking a heart attack in court. But what about something real? This 18-year-old named Tony Farmer, who used to be a basketball star, was in court for trying to kidnap his ex-girlfriend. The judge read out his sentence to 4 years in an Ohio prison. But as the judge said this, Tony fell to the ground and fainted after hearing how long he's going to be behind bars for. He's 6'7" and weighs 220 pounds, so he shouldn't be too worried about going to prison. His lawyer and some cops tried to pick him up and get him to remain calm, but Tony remained on the floor for quite a while. And then this clip of him fainting went viral in the bruh vine. At least he won't need too much introduction to his cellmate, seeing as he's already kind of famous now. How much do you want to bet this guy's gonna have his own reality show when he gets out? Next up is Savage Judge. We've already seen some crazy criminals in court on this list, but now it's time to see one mad judge. One woman named Camilla Gamet was in court for taking the life of her boyfriend back in 2014. During this time, a family member of her boyfriend was giving a statement when Camilla interrupted her, shouting, "Are you done yet?" That was when Judge John McBain lost his cool. He told Camilla to shut her mouth or he would duct tape it shut. She then started laughing at the victim's family, and then he says he hopes she dies in prison. This is of course a shocking and maybe even biased thing for a judge to say, but she was being very disrespectful and had committed a terrible crime, so maybe it's okay that the judge said this. What's your opinion on this very angry judge? Next up is LIMP. In 2016, this Uber driver named Jason Dalton from Michigan took 6 people's lives. He pleaded insanity for what he did, and he then said the Uber app was evil and trying to control his mind. Hey, I know Uber gets a lot of bad press, but they aren't evil. Anyway, once this guy was sentenced to life behind bars, he threw a tantrum in court. He let his legs go limp and cops had to drag him across the courtroom floor and to his cell. At least he went out in style. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, then be sure to check out what would happen if the world ran out of water by the richest. And make sure to comment, share, and subscribe to their channel too.